Hello, I want to welcome everybody in. This is episode 1 of Rockin with the Brocklin with your host, Alex Van Brocklin. Working title. Just want to say if you're one of my friends here checking me out because of my YouTube or whatever else, I appreciate you coming in. This is going to be a podcast I want to start primarily talking about the Denver Nuggets, the reigning world champions, kind of going over their struggles and hopes throughout the season, and along with some other stuff in the NBA. A quick get to know me if you don't know me already. My name is Alex. I'm a college student. I really have been enjoying sports since I was a young kid. I've been keeping up with basketball and football since about 2007. Been a Denver fan pretty much my whole life, and I am obsessed with basketball right now, so I wanted a platform to talk about it, and maybe this is it. All right. So, the Denver Nuggets. They really have been struggling lately, I have to admit. They started off really hot, as everybody knows. They went 6-1, and then Jamal Murray got injured, which really has been a little detrimental to our season so far. Jokic, as per usual, has been doing his thing. In fact, he's been just outstanding since Murray has been injured. Unfortunately, though, he's a big part of our team. And, it's really hard to win without him sometimes. Jokic, though, since Murray has been out, has just been putting up masterpieces almost every night. He hasn't been nearly as efficient as before, but it's really not that big of a deal. He's taken a few more shots, and it's been helping our team. It's been the production of the bench in particular that has been killing us when he's not on the court. Respectfully, sometimes it feels like they forget how to play offense, at least. The defense has been fine, but the offense lately has not. And the discrepancy between home and road games has been just a nightmare for the Nuggets and the fans and everybody involved, pretty much. They're 8-0 at home. Best home record in the league. Boston is the only undefeated team as well at home. They're 7-0. But their road record, 3-6, including a really, really rough road stretch they just had. They went 1-4. Ironically, their only win was the game where Jokic got ejected. We'll get into that a little bit later. But they have not looked like the same team on the road. I don't really know what to say. 3-5 in the last 8 as well. Part of that, being the road trip, they went 1-4. And a little bit before that. I will say in the game where Jokic got ejected, that was probably one of my favorite games to watch this season. Obviously, Jokic, he's my favorite player in the league and has been for quite a few years now. But the team without him in that game, they looked more resilient, I feel, than normally, because I feel like sometimes they just try and fall back on him because he's such an amazing player that if you're Reggie Jackson, who is filling in for Jamal Murray, or if you're Michael Porter Jr., who has taken the second scoring lead with Murray's absence, you can kind of sit back sometimes, I feel, on offense, What I really don't like from the Nuggets lately is they've really, when Jokic has the ball and he's like, trying to post up somebody down in the paint, people just stand around. Like, if we need more cutters, especially like Porter is such a good cutter. He just sometimes just hangs around the 3-point line because, he's a deadly shooter as well. But they really need to be moving more on offense. And I feel in that game, without Jokic playing, it felt like the offense was playing a lot differently. Reggie Jackson and KCP were both huge in that game, and they managed to somehow win it. I mean, I know it was against Detroit, and they are the worst team in the league. Well, they're tied with the Wizards at 2-14 right now, but it was still a good win regardless. Jokic, since Murray has been out, averaging 32.1. Oh, and by the way, when I crunched these numbers, I took out the Detroit game where he got ejected. He only played 15 minutes, and it's not really it's an outlier. He's averaging 32.1 points per game, 14.8 rebounds per game, 10.1 assists per game, including 1.6 steals per game. I don't know if people know this, but Jokic is actually, as of last night, he was second in the league in deflections per game. Not really a stat we talk about a lot, but he does disrupt defensively. I'm not going to say he's a great on-ball defender, but I don't think that he's a pushover like some people would say he is. Definitely not. Still a solid defender regardless. Another thing, I want to talk about their recent games, because these games have been a little hard to watch at times. So I'm going to start with the Pistons game we had. This was the one where Jokic got ejected. So he only played 15 minutes. He did still have 9 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. But the big part about this game is that KCP and Reggie Jackson came up huge in this game. Both with 20-plus points, which was just enough. Christian Brown, this was the game on the road trip where the bench looked really good. Najee was playing well. Peyton Watson was playing well. Strother was all right. He didn't really shoot too well, but Christian Brown came in and made a huge impact off the bench. He had 6 rebounds. He had a steal and a block. He came in and he's plus 21. He's been our best bench player all season, as long as you don't count Reggie Jackson, because normally he is on the bench. But Christian Brown has been great. He has been great, no doubt about that at all. I was really proud of the team for this win, because not only did Jokic get ejected in the second quarter, but head coach Michael Malone, also was ejected in the first quarter, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But for, quite frankly, mundane reasons to be ejected, if your name is Ron Artest and, you go to beat up a fan in the stands, yeah, you should probably get ejected. Draymond Green, you put Rudy Gobert in a headlock, chokehold. Yeah, you should get ejected. But it really seemed like Michael Malone and Jokic, they really had some issues with the refereeing in the game. I was watching the game. I thought it was... there were definitely a few calls, I'd say, which were not going Denver's way. I don't want to say it was unfair refereeing, because I'm in the opinion that often that's not the case. I try to defend the refs when I can, but Jokic and Malone felt otherwise, and they both ended up out of the game. I just imagine that the scene in the locker room was a little funny. I mean, Malone was probably in the back watching the game on TV, and he looks around the corner. Jokic is walking back. He says something to him like, "Hey, they got you too, man, huh?" But regardless, it was a really good team win for him. The next game, this was the game against the Magic. This was a game that was very winnable, I feel. Jokic, again, had a great game. He was shooting 66% from the floor. He only shot 1 of 2 from 3, but he really hasn't been a very good 3-point shooter this season. I am in the opinion, I think he should take less per game. There was a game earlier this season, I believe it was against the Rockets, where he shot 1 of 8 from three. And I don't. He's the greatest player in the world, but I don't really think he should be taking 8 threes a game, especially when I feel that he can kind of get whatever he wants in the paint sometimes. But regardless, against Orlando, another triple double. He's the league leader, in triple doubles and double doubles. He has 16 double doubles in 17 games and 6 triple doubles. On top of that, there are also 4 games this season where he has 9 assists. Like, obviously, Jokic is not the type of guy to like fish for assists or rebounds to try and finish off a triple double. But it's a little peculiar that he has 4 games already where he was 1 away. In this game as well, Porter has been really good for us lately. He's scored over 20 points multiple times over the last few games. I believe he's averaging 18 a game at this point. But the biggest problem with this game is we were winning most of the way, and then we just did not play good defense in the fourth quarter. Franz Wagner, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, was fantastic against us. He in the third quarter, I believe he had 11 in the first 4 or 5 minutes. He played great. I was really impressed watching Orlando. Going into that game, they did have the #1 defensive rating in the league. I believe they're at #3 now, but I honestly couldn't really tell. The Nuggets still ended up scoring 119 points, but it was a good game. It just really got away from us in the end. Gordon played good. Had a solid double-double, 15 and 10. Christian Brown played good, 13 off the bench, 7 rebounds. I've always been a fan of Christian Brown. The energy that he brings off the bench, especially being now in his second year, is admirable. He's such a punch when he comes in because he's very athletic, he's very focused. Obviously he does lack a little experience sometimes, and his shot has been up and down. He has been shooting the ball much better recently, especially opposed to last year. But he's got a great future ahead of him. Very bright, very talented, very smart player as well. I'll never forget what he did against Jimmy Butler in the finals last year. As a rookie, scoring 15 points in, was that game 3 or game 4? I think it was game 3. He's got a great mindset when it comes to how he can fit around a championship team. And it's only a matter of time before he's a starter as well. Very excited for him. The other rookies played okay in this game. But this is where, so we had that game against the Magic, and this is kind of where things started becoming an issue. Because offense really wasn't the problem in this game, it was defense. And then the Rockets game, oh boy. This was one of the hardest games to watch I've ever witnessed as not just a Nuggets fan, but a basketball fan. Because I watch other teams. I'll watch what's on national TV. Obviously, I watch the playoffs, the finals. 86 points. There was a point in the first quarter where it was 26-19. I believe we were down, and then they hit another 3 to go up 10. Where it just felt like we had no energy. Like all of our energy had went into the previous game against the Magic, where we had lost by 5 after being up for most of the game. And there's no energy. Jokic, I know his box score would say otherwise. The guy had 38, 19, and 8 And in my opinion, he didn't even play super. He played like decent, you know. I'm just not used to his 14 of 31 shooting because he's usually much more efficient than that. And 31 shots is a lot for him too. He usually takes about 20. This game was Reggie Jackson was a minus 26, 6 turnovers, 1 for 7 shooting, and the only shot he got was a little like a very hard shot. Actually, it was he took a cut from Jokic to go to the paint, and he got stuffed up because Houston now has the #1 defensive rating in the league. Their defense was fantastic against us, and Reggie Jackson went in for a cut. He got stuffed, and then he had like a fadeaway floater almost. It was a very strange shot, but he managed to hit it in. Porter in this game was fine. He could have been a little more. KCP was actually really good. He was the only person trying to help Jokic. And Aaron Gordon, oh man, I I want to have faith that this is his worst game he will ever have as a Nugget, because it was very uncharacteristic. 0 for 12 from the field. That's not the Aaron Gordon I know. Um, his defense was fine. I mean, nothing crazy, but he just couldn't get it going on offense, and at the end of the day, kind of was becoming a liability to us. Um, 7 rebounds, 2 points, and they were both free throws. 0 for 4 from three. It kind of just a nightmare game for him. He did end up sitting out last night. I believe he had a mild. I'm not sure what the injury was, but he is questionable. He's a game time decision for tonight. And he didn't play in the next game against the Spurs. But this game just hurt me. Houston, I don't even feel Houston was playing that great. I don't know why this is, but going back to like 2 seasons ago, maybe three, I don't know why Fred Van Vliet always just goes nuts against us. He was plus 30 and had 17 points and 11 assists. This might be a little misleading, 17 points, because believe me, he was impacting the entire game, very effective. Şengün, what can I say? I love his game. He's a great player. He had 21, 15, and 8. He said before that he models his game off of Jokic. I can definitely tell he's a very good young basketball player. He passes the ball exceptional. He's a good rebounder. He can score. I want to say, I know he shoots better than it, but his 3-point game was not working last night at all. I don't really think that's a factor teams have to be scared of. But I really like Şengün. He fit. This Houston team is kind of a sleeper team right now, I feel, because Jalen Green has been more efficient, at least to say. Van Vliet is a really good fit for them, a true point guard. My friend Jared has a very funny nickname for him, because he does appear a little short on the court. Obviously all NBA players are tall, but Şengün is great. Dylan Brooks, not Bricks. He's actually been quite the opposite. He's been shooting amazing this year compared to last year, and his defense once again has been great. Props to the Rockets, but very, very poor showing for the Nuggets. The biggest part, aside from Aaron Gordon and Reggie Jackson really not coming to play that night, was the bench. Najee only. It was so bad that the rookies off of our bench, that being Watson, Gillespie, Strother, and Pickett. Pickett sometimes is in our rotation too. They didn't even play the second half. It was just Justin Holiday and Christian Brown. Najee, Watson, Gillespie, Strother did not play the second half. Malone was not happy with them, to say the least. They all had 0 points. Strother didn't even shoot. Same with Gillespie. Watson had a few shots, but they didn't go in. He was also a minus 18. As ugly as this loss was, brings me to the next game they played, which this was an improvement for sure. This was last night, Sunday. Denver coming off a really rough road trip. I feel that this was a perfect game to get us back in the swing of things. Wemby, wow, he played well last night. I know he's minus 10, but he had 22. You might have seen last night he tried to poster Julian Strawther, one of our rookies, and actually Strawther ended up inadvertently hitting him in the face and avoided the poster, which he is a very brave man for that, because not a lot of people would try to contest a Wemby dunk, being that he is the 7'4" Frenchman. Let's see. And Wembanyama also 4 blocks, 6 steals. The kids these days were calling them stocks, steals and blocks. He had 10. That's kind of crazy as a rookie. And he had 11 rebounds. He had a really solid game. Hit a few threes. But the story of this game was that the Nuggets just got out by a lot. San Antonio did cut it close a little bit in the second quarter and the third quarter, but it was pretty much a wire-to-wire win. Jokic, another fantastic outing last night. He did shoot 29 times, which, still a little high for him. But, with Murray, our primary wing scorer, out, he's gonna shoot. He didn't take any threes last night, which I was actually a little happy about, because Jokic understood that he could just get whatever he wanted in the paint, pretty much. He did get blocked a few times, but, that's going to happen when Wembanyama is so tall and so talented. Very, very lanky, very skinny arms. He kind of looks like the Slenderman. But, Jokic, 39, 11, and 9. Another game where he had 9 assists, just on the cusp of a triple-double. Obviously, it's not that important to him. He just cares about winning. But a really good game from Porter. 4 for 9 from 3. Came up huge. 25. Porter's really been evolving his game. He's driving more. He's being more aggressive. He shot 5 for 6 from the line. He's getting involved on rebounds. He just needs to knock it in his own head. He's a very talented player, and sometimes he just stays a little passive on the 3-point line sometimes. But if he cuts, he knows Jokic will find him. And we're really successful when we're playing like a team, Good win. Not a great win, though, because the fourth quarter defense, they allowed 36. Malone called a few timeouts, and the starters were in there a little longer than they should have, I think. I think they should have been probably pulled out of the game at around 4 minutes left in the game. But it was close enough where it warranted it. They should have never been in that place, though. But, despite the road trip, I still got faith. Obviously this team is not playing at 100. We don't have Murray. We didn't have Gordon yesterday. We might not have Gordon tonight. In fact, Jokic is actually questionable for tonight with a lower back pain, I believe. I'm not even making it up, but he is having lower back pain from carrying this team. I hope he can play, obviously, because, we want our best chance at winning. But, yeah, that's what's going on with the Nuggets. They play tonight against the Clippers. I really hope that I really hope that Jokic can get out there. Looks like this is kind of interesting that they're giving the Clippers a 76.3% chance to win. That must be under the assumption Jokic doesn't play. Because I feel like it would probably be 50-50 with that. Hopefully he can play. But, we just really need to get back on track. I think that will kind of... one more thing I want to talk about the Nuggets. Last thing about Denver. KCP has been quietly putting together a great defensive season. He has been vocal about how he wants to be on the all-defense team. And I think it's actually been warranted because he has been outstanding defensively this year. He is leading the league. Sorry, scratch that part. Right now on NBA.com, total steals, KCP is 6th in the league. He has 27 across 17 games. It comes out to about 1.6 per game. He also has been huge in defensive clutch rating for our team. Denver, until maybe recently, has actually been one of the best clutch defensive teams. In fact, the best for a little bit. Another thing about KCP is there was a graphic I was watching the other night. I believe it was the Orlando game. KCP, along with Drew Holiday, OG Anunoby, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, all of which have been fantastic defensive guards this season. He's allowing 39.9% field goal when he is the main defender. Let's redo that. When KCP is the primary defender, he is allowing his opponent 39.9% field goal percentage, which is the second lowest, meaning good, in the league among all wing players who get at least 10 shots per game. So, that's just trying to get rid of the outliers, showing that these are the primary wing defenders, and he's doing a fantastic job there. He's 6th in the league in total steals. He had a streak. I think it broke recently, but he had about 22 or 21 games straight going back to last season where he had a steal. And I think he's putting a really good case together for all defensive team. He's been great. All right, looking at my little notes I have here on my phone. I want to talk about the league a little bit, and a few things have come up. One has been the refereeing. I'm not sure what is going on recently. Obviously, the refereeing is always a point of contention, but this season in particular, I feel that there's been some ridiculous calls. I know I'm not alone with this, but I'm gonna play this clip from the Bucks game from the other day, and it'll show you Giannis getting ejected after what I thought was a pretty reasonable celebration after a big dunk. Here it is.
Swatted and caught by Giannis. Haliburton go to the basket on the other end. Quick jam. And he taunted Isaiah Stewart. And he's going to get teed up
again
by Scott Twardowski.
And he's gone, right?
He could be kicked out of the game.
Wow.
That's a big call and a foolish move on Giannis's part.
Hey, when you have one
Okay. Huh? So, he gets a little steal right here, a rebound, whatever they consider it. He just runs up the court and, patting Giannis dunk. I mean, I'm not sure, obviously. I don't know what he said to Isaiah Stewart here. But, he kind of shows his hands right here, putting him down a little bit. That's a common notion to signify that the defender is too small. And that was his second technical of the game. And with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, he got ejected. How are we gonna? I'm not saying top players like the superstars should get special treatment, but why are we ejecting guys for this? I remember Charles Barkley, the very funny Charles Barkley, was talking about how there are a bunch of struggling families, kids, they want to come see their favorite player play. Because, if you're a kid growing up in Wisconsin or wherever, anywhere around there, and you get an opportunity to go to the Bucks game, you want to see Giannis play, right? And, I'm not sure what his first technical was in the game, but, like, that didn't seem like that much. He was just... He just like flexed and maybe said something, and I don't know. He was just celebrating a good play. I don't know why he should have been ejected for that. He shouldn't have been. That brings me to our second clip here, which came from the Pistons game the other night, Denver and Detroit, where Jokic got ejected for his second technical of the game. And here it is.
Going at Jokic, going at him, challenging him.
Jokic had the basketball. He's hot. You better be careful.
Oh boy. This. Another technical and bye-bye.
So right here, Jokic, I talked about it a little bit earlier. The refereeing in this game was a big point of contention for the Nuggets. They felt that it had been a little unfair. And Jokic's frustrations really came out right here. It's pretty rare when you see him like this because he pretty much only gets upset at the refs. He's very chill when he's on the court for the most part. But he was very frustrated to the point where he almost lost the ball here and then ended up it going out of bounds. This ref up here, who's at the top corner of the screen, was the same ref who ejected Coach Malone earlier in the game. And obviously Jokic came up to him and was a little heated. And he got his second technical of the game. I understand the frustration, but right here Jokic, he should have known that he's too important to get another technical. On the flip side of stuff, how can the refs justify ejecting him for this? They had been down the whole game. Well, not down score wise, but the fouls were not going their way. Malone had been ejected. And now their superstar, which by the way, Jamal Murray is also not playing tonight. And now Jokic gets ejected. You just got to think about the fans, like what is this all about? This is all about the fans, right? There's no league without the fans. Maybe a group of 30 guys are playing in, the local church building or, the YMCA, but like this doesn't exist without the fans. You have to think about what your product brings and what engages people. And there are multiple fans. I'm just going to play out the rest of this clip, but there are multiple fans in the stands that, are Nuggets fans. They showed a few of them. I watched this entire game. Little kids with Jokic jerseys, they came here and they want to see him play. And the announcers for the Pistons actually talked about it.
It's over now.
Let me tell you this. These fans did not come here to see Curtis Blair, Trey Maddox, or Andy Nagy, whoever they are.
And the Pistons announcers are spot on here. Trey Maddox, that was the referee I was referring to. The fans did not come to see them. They came to see Nikola Jokic, the reigning NBA Finals MVP, best player in the world by everybody except ESPN. I don't know what to say. It's not fair. Just think about the kids out there that never get to go to basketball games. They're struggling. They get to see Denver in town once a year. Once a year, that's it. And with a minute 22 left in the second quarter, their favorite player gets ejected. What's the point of coming? Murray is out too. It's not like you get to see him play. Respectfully, obviously, I love all the Nuggets players a lot. But, they didn't come to see Porter. They didn't come to see Reggie Jackson, KCP. It's a little ridiculous. And then moving on to the next point. Oh, my gosh. Why? I'm going to play you this clip. This is from the other night. LeBron's back in Cleveland. It's always a big deal when that happens. And then this happened.
Back towards Strus comes to James. Probably made that a little too difficult. A little easier pass. So come back, defend, get that basketball. A lot of time left. James back door. That was a mistake.
That's going to be a technical. You can't pull up on the rim like that. That's a point of emphasis this season. Boy, that could prove to be costly.
Come on. Oh my goodness. I know he hung on the rim. But this same thing... I don't know. I don't think I agree with this sort of technical call. It doesn't seem like it's super excessive to me. It just seems like he was hanging on to it until he regained balance. The Aaron Gordon got called for a technical the same exact way the other day. I think also Jason Tatum might have as well. I don't know. Maybe it's a point of emphasis this season that they don't want players hanging on the rim. But really, even LeBron gets a tech for this? In Cleveland? What? I don't know. I mean, if you know me, I don't like LeBron. I hate the Lakers. I've always hated the Lakers. They've always been in the way of the Nuggets winning, including last year, but they were able to take care of them. It shouldn't have been a technical. I know the Lakers ended up winning the game, so it's really no big deal. But I still don't like it. I don't like where the league is heading, where the refs have too much control. How come they are never questioned for, I know they're protected by the league. They, work for the league. But they're never questioned for their calls. They're never fined, nothing like that. If an NBA player says anything about the refs in their post-game interview, that's a fine. That's $25,000. That's $50,000 right there. It's kind of ridiculous. They have the ability to take a star player and take them out of the game. And I just think it's a little much. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the last segment. We talked about the Nuggets. We talked about the refereeing. I just want to talk about a few other guys that are killing it right now in the league. Tyrese Haliburton. Wow. He is the league leader in assists. He's averaging 12.1 a game. Oh my goodness. 12.1 a game. He currently is also one of the prime candidates for in-season tournament MVP. I don't even want to talk about those games with the Nuggets, but he's been killing it. The Pacers are one of the really feel-good stories tonight, and they host Portland at home, so they're probably going to get another win. But they have been doing so well. They're 4-0 in the tournament. They're confirmed for the knockout round. Haliburton the other night I think he had 37 points in a game against Atlanta. That was that game. I don't know if any of you guys heard, but that was the game where both teams scored about 150. Um, it's funny when the NBA highlights, 2 minutes in, you're at the top of the third quarter. Because Haliburton not only had 37 in this game, he had 26 in the third quarter. He has just been killing it. I love his brand of basketball. He loves to get other guys involved. He's a deadly 3-point shooter. Like one of the best in the league this year for sure. He's been playing great defense. Like look at this. Look at this. He was just killing it, and they had a comeback win against the Hawks in an in-season tournament game. Love what Haliburton's been doing recently. Great stuff to him. Other thing I wanted to talk about, Oklahoma City. I think I'm a little surprised with how I'm not super surprised with Indiana. It feels good, but I've really been surprised with Oklahoma City and Chet Holmgren. This kid has been killing it. I know statistically he might still be behind Wembanyama in the Rookie of the Year consideration. Obviously, if you've been watching him recently, though, and part of that is the team success. The Thunder have been doing much better than the Spurs. Another big reason for that would be Shea. I was very, very critical on Shea recently, especially last season. I wasn't super impressed with his game. He's absolutely deadly in the paint, but I thought that he kind of was more or less a free throw merchant. I want to retract that statement and admit that I was wrong because he's a great player. And not only has he been killing it offensively, he's been killing it defensively as well. I believe one of the league leaders in steals. I'm going to pull that up again real quick. He is the league leader in steals. 35 steals this game so far. This season, excuse me. Shea's been great. Chet has been great. It's really funny because ever since Russell Westbrook left, in my head, the Thunder have been a very poverty team. Like, they've just been bad. They got all those draft picks, I haven't thought of them as a serious contender. I mean, even earlier in the season, the Nuggets went to Oklahoma and beat them by 30. I also think that we just match up well against them. But they are legitimately a good team now. I have to think of them in my head as a team to be a little feared of. Maybe not scared, but like they can make some noise, Chet has been great. That game against Golden State last week in overtime where he had 36, including that 3-pointer to tie it, that was wow. But really good on the Thunder. I believe they're second in the West right now. They've been killing it. Yeah, second in the West. Denver about a half game behind. It's pretty close. Season just started. But, it's good to see him succeeding with a very genuine built roster. Like, Shea came over in that Paul George trade, which, by the way, has been... I know everybody's going to make fun of it, because they traded Paul George and they got Shea and all these draft picks and another player who I'm forgetting about. But they really won that trade. Like, Paul George has been good for the Clippers, no doubt about it. But Shea has been special with the Thunder. He's putting up 30 a game. He's putting up 30 a game this year, despite having a strong supporting cast. I mean, his supporting cast last year was decent, but Chet coming in has been huge for them. J-Dub, Jalen Williams, the starting one, has been great. Dort has been great. Giddey I don't really want to talk about Giddey. I'm gonna wait a little bit till the story comes out and all that. But I'd prefer just to not talk about him. But the Thunder, I mean, good on them. Also another team that's been making noise, the Wolves. Can't talk about them enough. I was really impressed with Ant last playoffs. He was special for them in the playoffs against Denver. And you talk to the Nuggets players, and they actually feel that they had the toughest time with the Wolves last year. They match up well against us. They're a tall team. Gobert is a great defender. No matter what propaganda is put out, Gobert is a fantastic defender. Cat is up and down. I'm a little low on him sometimes, but he's still a really great player. And then Ant is a clear superstar in the making. I predict he will be top 10 by the end of the year, at least in most people's eyes. He's been great. They've really come around. They're playing great defense, by the way, too. Just great defense everywhere. And they've really pulled it together. I love what Minnesota's doing right now, even as a rival to Denver. Another team that's really been killing it, I wanted to mention Orlando. Orlando and Minnesota are the only teams in the league this year to beat both Denver and Boston, who for most of the first few weeks have been the best two teams in the league. I talked about it earlier. Orlando had a great game against Denver early. They had a comeback win. Denver they kind of choked it, but no shade. Orlando's great. Wagner's great. Banchero's been playing great. I really I also like Mo Wagner a lot. He had a huge game the other night where he had 27 off the bench. They're in a similar situation, I feel, to Oklahoma, where they're a pretty genuinely maybe an almost honestly built team, not like trading for superstars, but building it through the draft. And I really respect them for them. They've won 7 in a row. They beat the defending champs and the number 1 team in the East, Boston. They have one of the best defenses in the league and a great young roster. Good thing they got rid of Bull. Last thing I want to talk about before we wrap up, Devin Booker. I think it's safe to say that Point Book is here. I know he's only played 9 games this year. He has had some injury issues, but in his 9 games, he's scoring 29 per game. Here's the staggering number to me. 8.9 assists per game. That is identical, I believe, to what Jokic is averaging right now. Booker, he was known as one of the best shooting guards in the league, but now he's quite a good point guard. Not to mention he is shooting 49.7 from the field, 43.5 from 3, and 91.8 from the free throw line. He's essentially having a 50, 40, 90 season so far. Also only 3.1 turnovers per game. Obviously, that's going to be probably a little up since he's handling the ball more compared to the last few seasons. He's been great. Oh, and not to mention, hit a game winner last night in Madison Square Garden.
Get it's a good one. Back to Booker. Booker on the drive. Booker puts up a 3. Oh, he puts it in with 1.7.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? There was a lot of dribbling going on here. From a basketball perspective, I don't love this shot. A good one passes it to Booker, and he's moving to the right. A little wing 3 right here. That's pretty good. shout out to Booker. I'm not a big fan of the Suns or Kevin Durant for that matter, but I do really like Booker. He's been playing great. And by the way, I love his headband. I like that since he's become the point guard, he has like a new look. He's got the headband now. I really like it. It's a good look for him. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this first episode of my podcast. Hopefully I can keep this up. Hopefully I can keep putting the work in and doing my research and improving it from here on out. If you like this, let me know if I'm doing anything good, if I could improve on anything. I'd love constructive criticism. If you want to, you could leave a like. I'm going to put this on my new YouTube channel. It's going to be different from my personal one where I put silly videos of me and my friends. It's going to be like a sports only YouTube channel pretty much. So if you want to hit a like on this and subscribe to it, I'd be really, really appreciative of it as I'm trying to build this. But yeah, thanks. Appreciate it a lot. This was episode 1 of Rockin with the Brocklin. All right. I will see you later.